waa qeybtii labaad iyo xusuusta daadadka Elino. midani waxay ku baxaysaa luqadda Ingiriiska. nala daawo musiibadii ka dhacday Xeryaha Qoxootiga Dhadhaab 2006.
El Nino is a phenomenon characterized by long, heavy rains resulting in flooding. The last time such flooding happened in this area was in 2006. This year, UNHCR has made contingency plans to prepare for possible flooding from mid-October through to December or possibly into January 2010. Our plans are based on two scenarios, taking into consideration how heavy the rains will be, how long the rains will last, the number of refugees affected by the flooding, and the extent to which the flooding will disrupt normal humanitarian services. Those two scenarios can be summarized as, firstly, the most likely scenario based on normal rainfall for the season in November and December, and secondly, the worst case scenario based on heavy rains lasting from mid-October through to December or beyond.
In the most likely scenario, if El Nino hits us, the floodwaters will affect the lower lying ground, which will result in people moving to higher ground in order to safeguard themselves and their belongings. We are obviously also concerned about the shelter because many of them will collapse. In terms of access to goods and materials, the road from Garissa to Dhadhaab will be affected, which may be impassable for a number of days. And obviously here in Hagadera, we're concerned about the area over in GHNI, which will have a river which has also proved to be impassable in the past. Our other major concern are the children, this dam here becomes full of water and the kids like to play and swim in the water, so we're concerned that the children may drown or that they will be exposed to sanitation hazards as a result of the flooding. As in previous rainy seasons, some of the flood-prone areas will remain underwater for many days.
In this scenario, the northeastern region of Kenya will be affected by torrential rain for weeks during the months of October and December. Most of the flat and lower areas in the three camps will be flooded, and access road to or from Dhadhaab will be cut off for a long time, more than 2 weeks. Overall, it's estimated that 50% of the camp population in Ifo, 50,000, especially those living in the old Ifo sections, and 30% of population in Dagahali, 30,000, will be affected by flood, and they will need to be relocated to a higher ground in between the two camps. In Hagadera, the lower flats are between the office compound, hospital, and the Gidude will be flooded, preventing refugees living in G, H, and I blocks for accessing essential services, including the main hospitals. There will be no need to relocate these refugees as they are located on high ground. However, assistance will be needed for sick individuals, vulnerable families, and people with special needs.
The main road from Garissa to Dhadhaab will be impassable for weeks. The only means of transportation will be by air, and delivery of essential food and non-food items by airdrops. In addition, the roads from Dhadhaab to the camps will be impassable, preventing all agencies living outside of the camp from having access to the camp. Forecast indicates that an El Nino, similar to that of 1997 and 2006, is producing the catastrophic conditions and is likely to last to about early January in 2010.
This may sound scary to refugees in Dhadhaab, but rest assured that UNHCR, its partners, the government, are making every effort to ensure that the delivery of humanitarian assistance in Dhadhaab continues and that the impact of the floods to the refugee operation is minimal. In the next section, you will find out what the UNHCR, the partners, and the government of Kenya are doing to mitigate the impact of El Nino on refugees and the host communities who are living side by side within the Dhadhaab operation.
We have increased our storage capacity by additional 4,000 metric tons through construction of more warehouses across the 3 camps. We have also beefed up our stock position within the Dhadhaab region that can now last us for about 3 months. We have increased staffing by 9 more personnel. We have also shared this with our partners, Care International, which is also given a mandate to recruit more staff as a contingency measure for El Nino and also to help in distribution of food in the new section of E4 camp, that is section N. We have introduced triple palleting in the warehouses that we feel are more prone to flooding. Additionally, to protect our warehouses, we have also sandbagged. We have filled the 25 kilogram empty sacks with sand and placed around all our warehouses. The sub-office has also beefed its transport capacity. We have 3 functional trucks that will help us should there be need to transfer food from one camp to the other within the Dhadhaab. Should any camp experience flooding that makes beneficiaries unable to prepare their meals, WFP has put a contingency measure in place. We have about 54 metric tons of high energy biscuits that will be distributed to the families that are severely affected and cannot cook.
Efforts will be made to ensure that refugees displaced by floods continue to access clean and potable water in this high ground. To reduce the eventual cost of trucking water, these high grounds will be connected to the existing water supply system where possible, and water bladders and tap stand installed. Intensified hygiene promotion campaigns, including soap distribution and provision of water containers, will be extended to the refugees who have moved to these high grounds. Emergency temporary latrines will be constructed by NRC and MSF. A solid waste management system will be set up and a waste disposal area demarcated to ensure healthy and safe environment in this new area. Refugees relocated to these high grounds are expected to observe certain basic hygiene practices like washing of hands at critical moments and proper food and water hygiene to safeguard in the spread of diseases like cholera and diarrhea and diarrheal diseases which might be very prevalent at this time.
Part of NRC's emergency response to the El Nino flooding, we will be helping UNHCR, LWF and partners identifying higher ground for resettlement and providing plastic sheeting, tents, sticks and other commodities for emergency shelter. In addition, we'll be providing emergency sanitation in any areas identified for relocation.
As in logistics, UNHCR will provide trucks to immediately relocate families from the lower affected areas to the higher grounds using the existing trucks. And just in case that the existing trucks cannot be able to cope with the exercise, we'll have to hire local trucks, use the donkey carts, and in the event that the areas are inaccessible due to flooding and the vehicles cannot access the affected areas, UNHCR will look at the possibility of hiring boats and using empty drums to ferry assistance to the affected areas, since that's the only quickest way we can respond and give the required assistance to the refugees.
daawada haddii aad ka heshay muuqaalkan gaaban fadlan rukuma channelka si aad u hesho warbixinaha kale mahadsanid.